Welcome to another episode of the Multifamily Collective. Today, we're talking about a quote that I read, which I think is fantastic. It came from a book called The Wizard of Ads, and that is written by Roy H. Williams, who is a masterful copywriter. He runs something called the Wizard Academy, which is located in Austin, Texas. I don't know if it's still operating today. I've been reading Roy H. Williams' ad copy books for feels like a decade now. But that being said, quote goes like this: "The risk of insult is the price of clarity." And how poignant is that? If you want to get clarity on something, sometimes you have to run the risk of hurting people's feelings. And you have to run the risk of being counter to what might be prevailing sentiment at the time. If you want to be crystal clear about something, then you have to be comfortable with running the risk of insulting somebody. It's sort of baked into the cake that your view of the world, all those things that make up who you are as a person, all those things that are baked into your DNA and your thought process and your beliefs and all of that stuff is very likely going to be counter to the way that somebody else thinks about the world. All these things that are baked into the cake, the way you were raised, the town you grew up in, the cultural norms of those particular places, or if you've traveled the world, you probably have an even different perspective. But when it comes right down to it and you're trying to get something done in an organization, you have to run the risk of insulting people in order to make yourself abundantly clear. It's especially important if you're in the midst of a crisis or in the midst of an emergency. If you are too timid, if you're too weak, if you're nebbish is the word for that. If you're nebbish in a moment of crisis, if you're nebbish in a moment where you need to move forward in a drastic way, when you need to throw incrementalism out the window and you need to do something drastic, and you're afraid of insulting people, you're afraid of ruffling feathers, you're afraid of running counter to what might be the prevailing sentiment at the time, you could drive yourself off the cliff. You could drive your organization off the cliff. You have to be willing to be controversial. You have to be willing to step up for that which you believe in, and to promote it in a way that is decisive. This is beyond persuasion. It's beyond being trying to massage it such that people can grasp it and feel okay with it. You have to be blunt and direct and to the point to get your ideas across the boards sometimes, especially in crisis. That's it. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon.